So if you're here, you probably know already that your reality is a reflection of your consciousness. And if that is the case, then you would also know that there are some times where that reflection can be really confusing and you find yourself going, what is this reflecting? What am I missing? So I wanted to carry on from the last video where I shared the story of what happened the other week and how my reality was reflecting something back, which was very clear. I knew it was a reflection, but I couldn't quite decode it in that moment. So I had a lot of things on that day. I just had to get through the day. And at the end of the day, I had some space and I was able to actually ask, okay, what is this reflecting? That question then opened up something that was quite amazing. Everything shifted. And so I want to take you through that. So if you find yourself in those moments where you're like, what is my reality reflecting? You can ask this question and then let the answer reveal itself, which it does always. So that's what we're doing today. My name is Hedley, and before we get into the video, I want to share with you just a couple of new offerings I have. I've just got a couple of new downloads, free downloads, so all you need to do is go to my website. In fact, I'm just going to put the link below. All other information about me and my offerings, you'll also find them in the box below this video or at my website, youaretheone.com.au. And if I could ask you for a very simple favor, that is to give this video a like and a positive comment. And if you are watching my channel repeatedly, please do press that subscribe button. That would be most appreciated. Thank you so much. So this video is a carry on from last week's video, which is called Rise Above Reality, where I talk about an event that happened last week that was completely out of the blue, that threw everything kind of up in the air, and how I managed to stay through that day by remaining in I am. And because of that, the day unfolded successfully. But just to give you a bit of a summary. So last week we had a very, very intense storm. It came out of the blue. It was very unexpected. No one saw it coming. And it was perhaps the most violent, intense, terrifying storm I've ever been in because of that intensity. It was wind, rain, hail, thunder, lightning, all at its maximum intensity, all at the same time. I was aware that it was reflecting something back, but I also didn't have the space to understand what that reflection was in the moment because of the logistical impact of that storm. So that storm, not that I knew it at the time, caused extensive damage to the power station within the whole area. So all of the power went out for the entire area and surrounding areas. So there were a couple of little pockets that had power, but everyone was affected. And when the power goes out here, which is not often, but my phone does go dead. So I had to quickly deal with some logistical things because I had a client that afternoon, and of course I was wanting that session to go ahead. So throughout the day, the power remained out, which it had never been before for the whole day. I had registered my home as being one of the homes affected, and just a few minutes after I had done that, the guy from the energy company had called me to let me know that there had been incredible damage and my property was on one of the main lines which had been damaged. So the power was likely to be out, certainly overnight. They didn't actually know how long it was going to take, but they did say it was going to be a while. One of the commands that I had been staying with all day was I am the power and I am back on. As I stayed in that command that I am the power and I am back on, my reality was reflecting back that in fact there had been extensive damage to the power and it was going to be off for a lot longer. Now, I recognized that my reality was progressively moving in the opposite direction, which told me there was something that I was missing. So at the end of the day, just before I went home, I actually took Dora for a walk down at the dog park. That was the first time all day where I just had a space to kind of just breathe and just reflect on the day that I had just had, which was very, very intense. As I went for a walk, one of the questions I asked was, what is this helping me to see that I'm unaware of? What is this reality? The storm, the power outage, what is this trying to tell me? Now, this is going to be very personal to everybody because your reality is incredibly personal to your consciousness. The key here is to remember to ask the question, because when you get what reality is reflecting back, you will see your reality shift in an instant, which it does, once you recognize what reality is here to help you see that you are otherwise unaware of. So I asked this question, okay, what is it that this power outage and this storm is wanting me to see that I'm unaware of? Because my reality wasn't moving and I kept commanding, I am the power and I am back on. So I sensed that there was more to the story and the power wasn't going to come back on until I got that part of the reflection. So the storm was a reflection of some kind of emotional upheaval within me, and the power outage I was able to recognize was powerlessness, because I was out of power. It's a direct reflection. I am powerless. I am without power. There was an emotional upheaval and there was a sense of powerlessness. Now, in terms of the storm was violent. It was rageful. It was anger. So I recognized that the storm was reflecting that back within me. There was a sense of rage and anger, but it was also coupled with a sense of powerlessness. That's what these two events in my reality were reflecting back. But I couldn't understand where this was coming from. It just didn't make sense as to why I was feeling that level of rage or that sense of powerlessness. I couldn't actually pinpoint the cause of that reflection. So I asked the question, what's something that may have happened in my reality recently that's out of the ordinary? Because this storm was out of the ordinary, this power outage was out of the ordinary. And as soon as I asked that question, I immediately remembered the inauguration in the States and the hand gesture that I had seen Elon Musk give at that inauguration. What happened when I saw that hand gesture is I just went, no, I'm not dealing with that. I don't want to know about that. I'm just going to pretend that that doesn't exist. And I pushed it away. Now, here's the beautiful thing about reality and about this work is we cannot deny or push away anything. Anything that we do deny or push away is going to get pushed out and reflected back through the events, circumstances of our reality to help us process that emotion so we can move on. Now, as soon as I recognized the connection between the rage and the powerlessness, what it did is it moved the energy that I had tried to push away. And as I was walking through the park, I'm throwing the ball to Dora, so she's all happy. But as I was walking through the park, I felt the emotion come up. And then suddenly I just burst into tears. I just had a bit of a cry in the park and I allowed that emotion to run through me. And what that was an emotional release of the emotion that had been too much for me to handle. If you haven't learned, if you haven't been taught that your emotions are safe, that your feelings are valid, like I certainly didn't when I was young, there's a tendency to try and push away feelings that are uncomfortable or are scary. And those pushed away feelings are actually going to get pushed out and reflected back through the situations and circumstances in your reality to help you see them so that you can process them and then move through them. Now, this is not about getting stuck in the feelings. What this situation helped me to do was to just move the energy. And as soon as I had a little cry, I just felt better and I was just back in my power. I was back in myself. I immediately knew that that's what that was. It was here to help me. The storm was here to help me. The power outage was here to help me. Everything was here to help me feel and process something that I didn't want to because I was afraid of it, so that I could just move on to the next thing. The power could now come back on. As I was driving up the hill to my place, I could see all the street lights were off, all the houses were still dark. My reality was showing me that the power was still off. I was still also getting the text messages saying that the power was going to be off for another 24 hours at least. But again, I knew that I am the power and I am back on. As I pulled into my driveway, despite all of the street lights off and the other houses are dark, I drove in and I saw in my house the power was back on. As I walked in, everything was back on. The power was on. The kicker is that I had a friend come and stay the following night, and she had been in Byron, which also had lost power. And I asked her, I said, did the power come back on? She says, no, it's still off. But for me in my reality, because I understood the reflection and how it was trying to help me, I was no longer bound to it. I was now in command of it. And that is the power of this work. That is the power of staying in I am. And that is the power of taking some time and space to ask yourself the question, what is my reality trying to help me become aware of? What is my reality helping me to see that I'm unaware of? Or what is my reality helping me to feel? Now, you may not know the answer to that question, but at least start asking it so that the answer could start to move and merge into your awareness. Your reality is here to help you. Your reality is helping you. The situations that you're facing, they're not here to hurt you or harm you. They're here to show you something that you might be missing. So you want to look at it with some curiosity. And if it's still not clear, that's okay. Just give yourself time and space. Come back to I am. And that's the beauty of what I shared in that last video is I stayed in I am the whole day, even though I didn't know what it was reflecting back. I stayed in I am. And that enabled me to move through that day safely. And then once I had some time and space, I could ask the question, okay, what is this reflecting? And then I could understand it and then move through it and move beyond it. And as I said, my power came back on and it was absolutely wonderful. The whole experience was so phenomenal. It just reinforced that this is a hologram. Your reality is a hologram. It is not fixed. And you are, as the I am of your reality, the one commanding it. Everything is here to help you. It's helping you see things that you may be unaware of so that you can awaken into more of yourself. So be curious. If something in your reality appears to be unfavorable, really be curious. How is it helping you? What is it trying to get you to see that you are unaware of? It's not trying to hurt you. It's not trying to harm you. It's not trying to make life difficult. It's a reflection of consciousness and it's here to help you become more aware of it. And the more aware of yourself you are, the more command you have over your reality. Awareness is your superpower. So use it wisely. Be curious about your beautiful reality, which is here to help you, and stay in I am as best you can. I am is the savior from that which you are experiencing that you may not understand what is reflecting back yet. So I hope this example and story has helped you understand your reality a little bit more and inspired you to stay in I am, even in those challenging times where reality is really pushing you to the edge. I am is the one that is able to move you through those experiences safely. So if you haven't seen that previous video, I'm going to put it up here. Go and check out those free downloads. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your positive comments and your engagement with this channel. I appreciate you so much, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a wonderful week. Bye.